I know you weebs want to develop some gorgeous anime physiques. And while big arms and shredded abs are peak anime protagonist vibes, the greatest and most masculine feature of any anime character is a pair of wide, bulky shoulders. But you don't need to be spamming lateral raises with some dusty dumbbells from your mom's basement, because I'm going to show you how you can develop some anime level shoulders at home with zero weights. I'm going to give you guys my favorite calisthenics exercises that help me blow up my shoulders. I'll also throw in some progressions or regressions so that you can train your shoulders no matter your strength level. And because I'm feeling generous today, I'll give you guys some extra training tips to help you grow your shoulders a lot faster. But before we get into that, we need to understand what makes shoulders so masculine, so aesthetic, and most importantly, anime as hell. Well, when we look at characters like Baki, Sung Jin Woo, or Garo, who all have amazing physique aesthetics, they all have one thing in common. Their shoulders are big, round, and 3D. If you ever see these characters in a fight or in any sort of action, you know that when they move, they're flexing their damn shoulders. Not only do their shoulders frame their physique really well, enhancing their V-tapers, but because they're so round and so well developed, they also bulge from the arm, creating a distinct line between the arm and the shoulder, otherwise known as the 3D effect. But if you think you're going to achieve aesthetic anime shoulders by just spamming 10 different variations of the T-pose, you can never hope to develop shoulders like these guys. Because in order to develop 3D delts, we need to target all three parts of the shoulder: the anterior delts, the posterior delts, and of course the lateral delts. Knowing how to target each part of the deltoid is crucial for developing aesthetic shoulders. But to do so with just calisthenics, you need to know which specific exercises you should be doing and how to do them. So if you want to develop your shoulders to make even Kanye West jealous, let's jump right into the first exercises, starting with the front delts. To target the front part of our shoulder, we need to know how that part of the shoulder works. If you've ever seen Guts with his shirt off, which hubba hubba, you can definitely see that he has some great front delts. But it's not just Guts. Even Baki, who is known for his bare knuckle fighting, also has amazing front delts. And looking at how these two guys fight is how we can figure out how to effectively train our front delts. With Guts, he's always swinging around that big ass Dragon Slayer sword, bringing it up, down, and all around and back up again. And similarly, one of the primary jobs for our anterior delts is to raise our arms up over our head, which is also known as shoulder flexion, which means that every time Guts goes up to chop a monster's head off, he's training his front delts. So unless you have a massive sword in your bedroom that you can use, here's how you can train shoulder flexion at home with just your body weight. One of the best exercises for shoulder flexion, which is one that I still do to this day, is the pseudo planche push-up. By performing the push-up with a harsh forward lean, you are forcing your body to use shoulder flexion the entire time during the exercise. And by bringing your shoulders through a much larger range of motion, you're going to be really feeling it in those front delts. But if you're looking to really bring your shoulders through a full range of motion, planche raises are going to do that perfectly. Think of these as the bodyweight version of front raises with dumbbells. These are really fun to do, but they're challenging because you're trying to lift your entire body, keeping your arms straight with just your shoulders. Of course, I recommend doing this on some chairs, some parallettes, or any elevated surface just so you have room to move your body up and down. But you don't have to limit yourself to just these exercises. Planche training in general is a great way to train your shoulders. Doing something like the tuck planche is really great since it requires a lot of isometric strength and stability. And it's really easy to overload because you can just pick a harder progression. How easy is that? But let's say you're a beginner who can't do any form of the planche. Is there any hope for you? Maybe not, but there is, because the planche lean is going to serve you very well. You can control the amount of lean very easily, making it accessible to just about everybody. Plus, it's a great exercise to work your way up to getting the tuck planche. But we're not done talking about the anterior delts yet. We still need to talk about Baki. See, Baki doesn't do much sword fighting. He's more of a punchy, fisty fighting boy, directing most of his power and force in front of him. And luckily for us, another key functionality of the front delt is, what is it? is bringing your arm forward. Punch, punch, punch. Things like push-ups and other variations of horizontal pushing are going to work great for this. But my personal favorite exercise that targets my front delts super well is dips. I love these because you can get an intense stretch at the bottom, and because you're not using any of your feet, a lot of the load is shifted to your upper body and especially your shoulders. And if you want to spice it up a bit. Do these on the rings, which is going to train the stabilization muscles in your shoulders. But of course, dips aren't the only exercise that I like doing for this particular type of shoulder training. Doing something like decline push-ups is also great for developing the front delts. The elevation shifts a lot more load to your shoulders, and you'll also develop your upper chest at the same time. What a bonus. And if you want to get really fancy, doing these with a close grip forces your arm to go across your body, targeting those shoulders even more. So now that we've crushed the front delts, let's move on to the side delts, which is the key to developing that wide anime look. And if you want more than just anime level shoulders, like aesthetic arms and a demon back for a full anime physique, then definitely check out my calisthenics game plan, link in the description. But now, back to the side delts. Because you're not here just to develop some big ass front delts. You want to get some big side delts to get those super round, wide shoulders and become the Dorito you were always born to be. And if there's anybody who embodies that Dorito look, it's Zoro from One Piece. Now, Zoro is known for having a very rigorous training routine, lifting massive weights and even doing some impressive calisthenics. But specifically, I'm looking at his overhead press and his super heavy handstand push-ups on his thumbs. Now, obviously, you don't have to replicate this exactly in order to develop your shoulders. I mean, if you can do that, why are you even watching my videos? But just doing regular handstand push-ups, even with wall support, is still gonna be amazing for developing those side delts. Now, I know some of you are thinking that the handstand push-up is more of a front delt exercise, and honestly, I do agree with you. But I'll be lying if I said that these didn't help to develop my side delts. Because of the massive recruitment of shoulder muscles to push your entire body weight overhead, it's one of the best ways to load your entire shoulder, which includes the side delts. Now, I always recommend doing these stomach to wall because it's a lot harder and it actually replicates the actual handstand push-up, but there's nothing wrong with doing it back to wall if you're just trying to get used to the movement. But if you really want to take it up a notch, doing these with a deficit, elevating your hands a bit, giving yourself more range of motion, is gonna up the difficulty quite a bit. But obviously not everyone's gonna be able to do handstand push-ups even with wall support. So the next best thing is doing pike push-ups. It's like doing handstand push-ups, but a lot easier because, well, your feet are on the ground. And you can do these on the floor, but the elevated version is more challenging and closer to the actual handstand push-up. And of course, adding deficits will make it a lot more effective too. Pro tip, when you get to the top of any of these variations of vertical pushing, try squeezing your back as much as you can to bring your hands even more overhead. This little form cue is going to help target those shoulders more and actually help you to get better at handstands. But what if you're a complete beginner and you struggle to even do 5 normal push-ups? Well, luckily for you, you can still develop some good shoulders even if you're a calisthenics noob. Not only do your shoulders work to push vertically, but they also work as a stabilizer for your arms. Think of All Might in the first time he was fighting that Nomu. And this is awesome because we can train our shoulders as stabilizers by doing shoulder taps. By momentarily holding a plank with just one arm, you're going to be loading more weight to that shoulder. On top of that, your side delts are going to be stabilizing your entire body, which is going to be stimulating them to grow. And as you get stronger, you can incorporate these into your push-ups and do some shoulder tap push-ups. But when it comes to training shoulder stability, nothing beats some good old-fashioned wall walks. Not only will these help to grow your side delts, but because of the large amount of stability required, they're also going to be targeting your rotator cuff too, keeping your shoulders nice, squeaky clean, and healthy. Just go from the bottom of a plank, crawling up the wall into the top of a handstand, and then come back down, repeat. But of course, this wouldn't be a proper shoulder workout if we didn't incorporate some form of lateral raise. Oh, but you can't possibly do lateral raises without equipment. Well, I mean, not with that attitude, you can't. Because remember, gentlemen, you are Jim. You can actually perform lateral raises with just your body weight. How? Stand with your arm against a wall as it is bent to 90 degrees. Shift your feet away from the wall, keeping your body straight. Then press your forearm into the wall, pushing yourself away, and repeat for reps. And the more you step away from the wall, the harder it's going to be. Now, these may look simple, but once you start doing them, you're going to really feel it in your side delts, trust me. Oh, but if you think we're done training shoulders, then think again. Because the problem with most of your guys' shoulder training is that a lot of you only work your show muscles, that being the front and the side delts. Not a lot of people put a good amount of attention to their rear delts, and that starts to become a problem. The rear delts are just as important because they stabilize the rest of the shoulder joint. And this is important because if you're that aggressive gym bro just trying to train chest all day, you're going to need to balance that front delt strength with some good rear delt strength. And luckily for us calisthenics athletes, we get plenty of rear delt training from basic exercises like pull-ups and rows. But to really target our rear delts, we'll want to do some more specific exercises. And in my opinion, there's really only two that you need. The first one is a classic that everybody does at the gym, but you can easily do them at home with zero weights. And that's the face pull. All you'll need is a pair of rings, or if you don't have any rings, you can use the bedsheet method, which I use in my no equipment video, which you can check out. It's like performing a row, but instead of having your hands pulled to your chest, you're pulling them to your face. Go figure. The second exercise is a mimic of the rear delt fly, and it's the body weight rear delt fly. Very, very creative naming. Just lean back on two chairs against your elbows and drive them towards the ground as you squeeze your shoulders together. Very simple, but very effective. Now my chairs are very light, so use heavier chairs or anything that's heavy lying around, just like your mom, boom, roasted. Now, you have all of the exercises, but I want to help you guys truly blow up your shoulders. So here are 3 tips that are gonna help you guys develop 3D delts faster. For one, don't be afraid to train heavy. The shoulders are really great for progressive overload, so doing things like heavy handstand push-ups or any form of planche training is gonna be awesome here. Training in the lower rep range, like 5 to 6, is not only gonna be helping with shoulder hypertrophy, but also strength. Bonus tip! Save your heavy shoulder exercises for the beginning of your workout because that's when you're gonna be the most fresh. Number 2, try your best to go slow on the negative part of the exercise. Muscles grow a lot more when the eccentric part of the exercise is slower, and shoulders are no exception. This is going to work best with exercises like bodyweight lateral raises or pike push-ups. And you don't have to go crazy slow here. 3 to 5 seconds is good enough for this technique. And last but not least, don't be afraid to train your shoulders frequently. Unlike most muscles, the shoulders actually recover pretty quickly from fatigue, at least in my experience. So throwing in some lateral raises at the end of each workout isn't going to be a bad idea. And this is also one of the reasons why people say, just spam lateral raises, bro, just do it. Just do it. But while growing your shoulders is going to 10x your physique, by themselves, they're not going to give you that aesthetic V-taper. To actually get that V-taper, you're going to need to develop your back muscles. So if you want to learn how to develop a gorgeous demon back without using any weights, then you can check out this video right here.